I wish I can act surprised when I make a video like this, but unfortunately, after doing YouTube for 10 plus years, this is really not surprising to me, unfortunately. But if anything, it leaves me a bit disappointed. My name is Ango. This is Destination Pro Wrestling, a YouTube channel where I bring you guys my opinions on the latest in pro wrestling. And today was definitely a really disappointing day. And I have a lot to rant about today, so I will rant about it. And if you guys agree, disagree, let me know in the comments section down below. But we're going to talk about it. If you guys want to support the channel, the links are all in the description. And if you guys do want an explanation as to why I haven't made a video in a week, it is simply because I started a new job and I've been getting acclimated to the schedule. And to be honest with you guys, I've been really bored of wrestling this past week. And that is largely due to WWE. So we have to talk about this. This is something definitely worth talking about because, again, I am very disappointed in WWE. So by now, you guys probably saw your favorite YouTubers already made a video on this. You probably follow WWE on Twitter. But if you didn't know, WWE had released Braun Strowman, Riott, Santana Garrett, Lana, Aleister Black, and Buddy Murphy from contract. These names aren't random names. These names are the names of people that you see pretty much every week on Mondays and Fridays. And it's really weird. It came out of nowhere. It was definitely out of nowhere. I have ideas as to why this might be happening. And I do predict that more releases, or I should say more surprising releases, are probably to be expected in the very near future. But to sit here and act like Braun Strowman is not an integral part of WWE television, I don't know what to tell you. Whether you agree with the way he's been booked or not, I mean, this guy was literally the Universal Champion just last year, and now he's gone from the company. WWE cited their reasons for these releases due to budget cuts. And this has been the excuse for the past year and a half from WWE. So it's very disappointing when budget cuts is the excuse that's given, especially when I think anybody who uses the internet and follows WWE, especially the smarter fans, I think it's very clear to know, it's very easy to understand that WWE is making ridiculously great money right now, despite the pandemic, despite lower viewership. And the fact that they cite this due to budget cuts, it's disappointing because I don't really think that's what's happening here. But if you look at it from the perspective of money, it's no secret that Braun Strowman on this list is probably one of the higher paid ones. I believe possibly maybe Braun Strowman was getting around $1 million per year. Because if you didn't know, he did re-sign a major contract not too long ago. So of course, with WWE releasing these guys and girls, it's shocking. Lana is somebody that had a pretty big storyline this past year. Obviously, we saw her transition into a tag team with Naomi, who I think a lot of people also expected at some point to get a tag team championship run. And then you see somebody like Aleister Black, who's been gone for a while, finally gets cleared to come back. They start developing this new character. And then, of course, he comes out of nowhere, helps Apollo Crews retain his championship, and then pretty much goes back into obscurity. And then you see somebody like Buddy Murphy, somebody who was in a very high-profile feud with Dominic and Rey Mysterio, obviously joining Seth Rollins, and then now he is nowhere to be seen. It just doesn't make sense. It doesn't make sense. And this is why I think I'm more disappointed with WWE. Forget about the money, right? But what this tells me is that WWE has people on television pretty regularly. And the creativity that they have with these people is already lackluster, right? It's already a shitty product to begin with. It's really not that good right now. It's not very entertaining. It's not really capturing fans' attention, right? Yet, no matter what, these people are still on TV, putting in the hard work, and they're there, right? So when you see WWE release somebody, especially somebody like Braun Strowman, right? Former Universal Champion. When you see them release them, when you see WWE make these releases, it really gets you thinking that WWE is up to something. Because budget cuts just isn't a good excuse. And I've seen some people on Twitter talk about how these names don't necessarily draw a crowd or a reaction or merchandise sales or whatever it may be. And I don't know if that's necessarily true. And without looking at the figures, without looking at any of that, if WWE doesn't believe that these people draw money or bring in an audience or bring in merchandise sales, but yet they continue to put them on TV, then that tells me there is a far larger problem in WWE to begin with. Not understanding what their audience wants, not understanding what they have in front of them when they have it. See, the thing is, WWE is struggling, not financially. We all know this. WWE is not struggling with money, but WWE is struggling with keeping the casual and hardcore audience in their pocket. Like, I can watch 3 hours of Monday Night Raw, or I can record it on DVR, skip all the stuff that I know is repetitive. I can just get to the point that I actually want to watch, right? I can fast forward, rewind, things like that. Or I can just go on their YouTube channel immediately after Raw and get the highlights that I'm specifically looking for. See, the thing is, I don't need to watch 3 hours of Raw to understand what's happening in Raw. I don't need to watch 2 hours of NXT or SmackDown to understand what's happening in NXT or SmackDown. But some of the names on this list are people I've actually been interested in based on previous storylines and things of that nature. Like Braun Strowman, Roman Reigns at one point was one of the hottest acts in WWE television. It was really incredible. And then, of course, WWE ruined Braun Strowman. Aleister Black had a very interesting character. He did some very cool stuff in NXT, went to the main roster, and just as everybody predicted, they did nothing with him. Now they start airing very cool, very unique vignettes. And some reason he aligns himself with Apollo Crews and helps him out. It just didn't make sense, right? Somebody like Lana getting thrusted into a tag team that's obviously getting some spotlight, and then they let her go. I'm not even saying Lana's the best wrestler, but when you look at your women's division, people remember her. It's weird. WWE is at a very, very weird point right now. And personally, the WWE that we all know and love is no longer there. I've been saying that for a while. Despite the fact that within their 3 shows on cable television, having some good stuff on those shows, most of it is filler, most of it is repetitive, most of it is garbage, most of it is lazy. WWE trying to save money right now just doesn't make sense to me. I'm not buying it. I don't think it's a valid excuse. I don't think it makes sense. And in fact, I'm going to go on and say that WWE clearly does not fear AEW, because if they feared AEW, if they feared New Japan, if they feared Impact, they wouldn't be releasing some of the bigger names in their company. Keep in mind, they have yet to re-sign Daniel Bryan. Keep in mind that they have released over 40 members of their roster just last year at the start of the pandemic. These are not random names. It does not make sense. It does not make sense whatsoever. And I still can't wrap my head around the fact that WWE has made such a bold decision. And the only thing I could think of is that the WWE that we know and love that was ran by Vince McMahon is no longer going to be the case. Whether they are preparing for new management, new ownership, I don't know what it is. I think WWE is cleaning house for a reason. And whatever money they can save right now will probably help them out in the long run. I don't know. It's weird. This is so weird to me. And I wish I can offer a valid explanation to all of this, but it doesn't make sense. And honestly, it's just disappointing. And the best thing I could say is, when WWE comes back with fans in July, it's going to be very clear whether or not fans really stuck around with them throughout this pandemic. And I can honestly say I truly do not believe that these shows will have a sold-out attendance. Because before COVID, these shows were being tarped off. And I think it's going to be worse. And if it is, WWE's in trouble. And no, I'm not saying this is a plus for AEW, because if WWE's in trouble, that means AEW's growth is going to be very, very, very hard to achieve when the biggest company is failing. casual fans aren't interested right now, and I don't think any of these companies are offering something to gain those those fans. I don't think they're doing anything to gain those casual fans back, but nonetheless, it is what it is. I don't know what to say anymore, guys. This is ridiculous. WWE again releasing some big names, and it's just a head scratcher. So let me know what you guys think in the comment section down below, and I'll see you tomorrow.